early childhood development. Each week we talk about a different stage of children development and what children need. And now, here comes your host.
Hello, everybody, and welcome. My name is Taryn, and you are listening to The Parent Thing. I am so excited to have Lydia on the podcast with me this week. We have been trying to get this thing recorded for for forever, and we just keep missing each other. And she was busy, and then I was traveling, and then she was traveling, and then work happened, and life happened, and we are finally here, literally on opposite ends of the globe. So it's 8 o'clock in the morning for her tomorrow, and it's 9 o'clock in the evening for me yesterday, type of thing. But I am so glad that you are here to join us, Lydia. Welcome to the Parenting Podcast.
Thank you, Taryn. I'm so excited to have this conversation with you after a little bit of time of planning, but we're here.
We are. So our topic today has been really, really close to my heart for a while because people don't really like to talk about money. And when we do talk about money, it's like this taboo thing, it's the secretive thing, it's this embarrassing thing sometimes. Like people don't want to talk about like not having money. Some people are made to feel bad because they do have money. Like money is just a very hard topic to speak about. And I was saying that I think it's so important that we look at money mindset, what money mindset we have as adults, how it was instilled in us by our parents, like what their money mindset was, and then how to break those patterns of negative money mindsets or unhealthy money mindsets, and then instilling healthy money mindsets into our children so that they don't have to have these what's the word, like uncomfortabilities around money or wanting money or having money, but being able to know that we deserve to have money. I mean, I don't know how else to say it.
Yeah, we
So
do.
I couldn't think of anyone better to help me have this conversation because you are the money queen. You are the finance queen. You do this for people. So having said all of that, do you want to tell us who you are and what you do?
Of course. So, hi, everyone. I'm so glad to be here. And I'm based in Abu Dhabi. That's where Taryn and I first met. And I started working out here years ago as a financial advisor. And it was in that process that I would sit down with women, and I realized that women were always second guessing themselves, always saying things like, I'm not confident with my money, making comments like, oh, I have a silly question, and so on. And what I realized is that a lot of women actually do manage their money well. A lot of women have strengths that help them in managing their money, but they don't see it. So I started something called Love Yourself Financially, and it's a coaching business. So I do wealth coaching for women, and I want you to love yourself financially. I want you to have a healthy relationship with money. I want you to heal all those money wounds, all those beliefs that don't align with where you want to go. And these are things that may have been passed down to you from your parents, from your grandparents, and even further back. So it's all about healing those wounds so that you can live in abundance, both mental and emotional abundance, and also financial abundance.
You briefly touched on why you started your business, but what is it that you hope to achieve? Like, what is your why? Like, what is the reason that keeps you like motivated and helping all these women that you have helped?
So there's a clear distinction in before and after with my clients.
Mm-hmm.
They come to me because they think they want to improve the way they manage their money. They think that they want to start investing. So when I start asking them questions about their upbringing and money, how was money discussed in their upbringing, sometimes they're confused. But what they don't realize is our emotions surrounding money, our beliefs surrounding money come from somewhere. And for me, the biggest transformation is not so much about how they manage their money at the end of the day. It's the mental and emotional shift, the confidence that
Absolutely.
they now have in managing their money. But again, it starts from the inside. It starts from healing. It starts from transforming your mind.
Absolutely. So I did coaching with you. That's how we met. I reached out to you and I went through a journey with you. And one of the biggest struggles I had was, what do I charge my clients to provide them the parent coaching? I know my
Mhm.
information is valuable. I know that I'm passionate. I know what I'm speaking about. I've done all the groundwork. I've done all the research. I'm still continuing to research. Like, all the work goes into it. And I was going to charge an amount that you were not okay with. I
Yes.
was going to charge so little. And you were like, no, you need to charge a lot more than what you were saying. And I grappled with that. And I still grapple with it because there's this part of me that feels like, oh, I can't take the people's money, or then there's the imposter syndrome, like you don't deserve the people's money. And I'm learning now that it's a transaction. People are paying me money for a service that's going to benefit them, that's going to change their minds, that's going to change their mindsets, that's going to change their lives and impact their children for the rest of their lives. And so I'm realizing that there's value, and what I'm charging is actually still not enough, but we want to make it affordable and all that good stuff. So my money mindset is changing, and it is becoming healthier. But there were phrases that I heard growing up, right, that made me think that I don't deserve abundance, that I shouldn't want money, that money is the root of all evil. And then people say that that comes from the Bible, which is not accurate. And then there was,
Exactly.
do you think that money grows on trees, or I can't afford it? Or, like, there's always been these little phrases that are seeds that are planted in people's minds. And that is what because you don't have a frame of reference to believe differently. So that is what you believe because you're a child. This is how you're being indoctrinated. And I'm going to call it indoctrination. This is how you're being indoctrinated. And then this is your belief system. And so now it's a fight. It is such a fight to wrap my head around, like, I don't have to be broke. Broke should not be in my vocabulary,
Absolutely not.
all this kind of thing. So just today, it's so funny that today was the day that this incident happened, and we actually finally recording the podcast. But we had an award at the school that I teach at, and basically there was this big assembly, and the school was awarded a check for a substantial amount of money. And one of my little kindergartners heard that the school's getting this money, but thought that she's getting this money. And she turned to me and she said, I'm going to take this money and give it to my dad so he can buy a new car. And so that tells me that this little one is carrying financial burdens already in kindergarten of her parents, which I like, that broke my heart. And
Yeah.
so let's talk about some unhealthy mindsets that parents pass on to their children. Like, what have you heard? What kind of beliefs are there? And like, how do we challenge parents to hear that these beliefs that they may be carrying are not healthy?
Boy, that's a tough one because something I have asked some of my clients who are parents is what are you doing that you don't want your child to inherit when it comes to managing money? So
That's
you mentioned a
helpful.
few, right? You mentioned
Mhm.
money doesn't grow on trees. You mentioned money is the root of all evil, which is incorrect, like you said. And ultimately, there are so many expressions to that basically share the belief that money is limited. All right. There's
Yeah,
also belief that it's bad to be rich.
right.
And yeah, yeah. And so it's almost like uh, money is limited. It's bad to be rich. So what does that mean? You might find yourself in a cycle of not having enough money because subconsciously you believe that it's not good to have enough money. It's not good to be comfortable. Rich,
Right.
honestly, rich is just a term. However you define it for yourself is irrelevant because it's going to impact the way that you manage your money,
Mhm.
right? Um, even saying things like I'm broke. I remember I did a reel on that some time ago. First of all, when you make any I am statement, you are taking on that identity.
Mm,
And so I don't want to say I'm broke. I'm not broke. Even if right now it's not in my budget, I can say that.
financially stretched.
Yes. Well, right now it's just not a priority for me. I will make it a priority, save for it, and then buy whatever it is or spend the money, you know?
Mhm.
So honestly, there are countless expressions, but ultimately there's the belief that there's not enough money. There's the belief that, I'm going to be broke or I'm broke. There's a belief that it's not good to be rich.
Mm-hmm.
And, having a lot of money is bad. Those are a few. And then there's the one that you mentioned just now is, I don't know if it's so much of a belief, but it's more of having these conversations around your children and then your children feeling like they're responsible.
Right.
That's a difficult one because obviously I do think it is important to have some kind of transparent conversations with children. Children are much brighter than we give them credit for.
Absolutely. And they listen to
Yes,
everything and they understand more than what, like you
exactly.
said, more than what you give them credit. So, Lydia, how then do we balance it, right? Because there needs to be a form of transparency with the children, but we also don't want them to feel like our financial issues are their responsibility.
Mhm.
Because I was telling my husband about this little girl today, and he was like, "Oh, I know that child. I was that child." And he was like, when he first got his first job, when he was like 15 or 16, he was like every paycheck, like he wasn't like the other teenagers who went and got the new shoes and stuff like that, because he felt like financially he was responsible. So the burdens that his mom was carrying, he felt responsible for that. And that's a heavy burden for a kid to
Mhm.
carry, right? And he was a teenager when this was happening, but now we have these littles who feel like this is their problem.
Yeah.
This is their problem to solve. So how do we find the balance of teaching them that quote unquote money doesn't grow on trees, but also that there is a way?
Mhm.
Does that make sense? Like there's a way to have
Yeah.
money. You can have money. So yeah, we have these bills. This is me being transparent, but instead of that, no, we can't afford it. Like, hey, let's see how we can earn this. Let's see how we can work for this. Let's see how we can, how do we find that balance?
So this is something that I do teach my clients. It's not focusing on the things you can't do, but focus on the things you can do.
Mm-hmm.
I always say there's more than enough money in the world for the purpose you were brought into this world. But it's up to you to find it. It's up to
Mm-hmm.
you to shed those limiting beliefs, and it's up to you to believe that it is possible. Right. I
Mm-hmm.
remember there was a video I watched some time ago, and I remember the man said, when his kids were little, their daughter asked him for something. I can't remember what it was. And I remember at that time, his initial response was, "We don't have the money for that." And then he
Mm-hmm.
just took a step back and he shifted and thought, no, I don't ever want to have to say that to my child. I want them to
Mm,
know that I will be able to give them whatever they want, whatever they need, obviously within reason. But
right.
he doesn't want their child to think that, you know, money is tight, money is limited. So he said that day he changed that way that he approached his finances and he approached earning income. And that's never been an issue for him since. See, that one day he became aware of something he wanted to change, he
Mm-hmm.
shifted, and then he
Mm-hmm.
took action. It sounds so simple, but it is. Because it's not a matter of what can I do? It's a matter of what do I need to shift first? Because
Yeah.
you speak what you believe and you act on what you speak, right? Thoughts become words, words become action. We know this. We say all these serenity prayers, but we don't apply it to our own lives, especially when it comes to money, because we don't realize that the limiting beliefs that we have are holding us back. So once you become aware of it, it's up to you to change. Awareness
Mm-hmm.
is always the first step. But if you're not aware at all, then you can't even make a change. Something
Yeah.
has to trigger that. Something has to happen if for you to want to change.
Yeah. You saying that just triggered something that I remember. So when I was still back home in South Africa, I was invited to a fundraiser of like a friend of a friend of a friend type of thing. So their son was chosen to go and play soccer in Italy, and they were having a fundraiser to obviously raise the funds for him to be able to accept the invitation. And I was sitting when I got the invitation, I was like, oh, this is so cool. And the person that I was sitting with was like, why have children if you can't afford to give them the things that they want and they need, right? And I was like, I was so taken aback by that because he was like, yeah, people shouldn't have children if they can't afford the children. Like if they know that their child is going to be playing soccer or whatever, they should be able to afford to get that there. And I said that the fact that the parents didn't tell their child, no, we can't afford this, so you may not go, right? Instead, they showed their child that if you want something bad enough, you make a way to get it. And if that means fundraising, and if that means trying to get a sponsor, if that means whatever the thing is, like there's always a way to find what you want.
Absolutely.
My husband says so often, if you want something, you will find a way. And if you don't want it, you'll find an excuse. And I find that to be very true.
Yeah.
Very, very true. Unless you want something bad enough. But it was just, again, that thing of have that awareness and change something so that, you know, the next generation sees what's possible, sees what's out there, that there is enough. And this kid was given this opportunity to travel to another country to see how things are doing, like this cultural experience. It was more than just playing soccer.
Absolutely.
So I think that a lot of the times parents do feel defeated and they do feel like, nope, the answer is no, that's the final thing. We can't afford this conversation over.
And this brings up an important point, actually, Taryn. It brings up the concept of shame, because that man's reaction saying that was based on shame. And a lot of times parents may say no to their children because they feel ashamed that they cannot provide it, or they don't believe they can provide it. That's more accurate, right? And so when you're stuck in this cycle of shame, there's no breaking free from that. You have to love yourself enough to believe what's possible, and love your children enough to believe that I'm going to be uncomfortable and I'm going to make a change. Yes, it's getting out of my comfort zone. It might mean asking for help, like the fundraiser. There's obviously nothing wrong with asking for help,
Right.
you know?
But that's also moving beyond shame, because some people will feel ashamed to ask other people to come and donate money to whatever the cause is, right?
Absolutely,
So
yeah.
in saying that, what are some practical tips for parents to action to change their own money mindsets?
Oh boy. So this is a heavy one. So I think that the first thing is to be real with yourself, to sit down, to have these questions, to have these conversations with yourself, because a money block or a money mindset block or a money belief that is any belief that's inhibiting you or getting in the way of you achieving your financial goals. So if a situation comes up and you're saying, oh no, I can't do this, or I can't afford it, that's a belief. A simple statement like I can't afford it is something that I have said in the past. And maybe I would have said, oh, yeah, it's okay to say that. But I can't afford it just lets you sit down and not do anything about it. But if you can start to shift from what can I do? How can I make this happen? You'll realize that you're going to feel more encouraged, more motivated to figure it out.
Yeah.
Everything is figure outable, as we say, right?
Right. Some problem solving strategies, right?
Exactly. And that doesn't mean that you have the answer yourself. First of all, there's Google. There are so many experts out there that you can reach out to. People come into my DMs all the time asking me questions, and I'm happy to answer them. I'm not going to say, oh, you need to book a meeting with me. You know, this is something that obviously, if it's a deeper issue and it requires more time, then that's when I might suggest that. But there's so much information out there.
Yeah.
But unless you first sit and think, okay, is this belief, is this thought getting in the way of me achieving my financial goal? That's the first question. And a lot of times people aren't honest with themselves. So that's the reason why they're not able to make a change. If you sit down and you ask yourself, okay, different situations happen in life, financial situations, and ask yourself every time, first of all, acknowledge whatever emotions you might be feeling: anxiety, regret, shame, sadness, fear, worry, and so on and so forth. So acknowledge that these feelings also are keeping you stuck in this cycle. So when you're able to acknowledge your feelings, you're able to be in touch with your emotions, and then you're asking yourself, why do I feel this way? And you're honest with yourself. Don't just ask yourself that question once. Why do I feel this way? Superficially, you might have an answer, but when you dig deep, you'll get to the root cause of most likely something that happened in your upbringing, in your childhood, something that you heard that started this. So that's when you can start challenging those thoughts, because we know that thoughts aren't facts. When we
Absolutely.
accept that thoughts aren't fact, we accept that we can make a change. I don't need to believe this. I don't have to believe this. I believe this for years and years and years. It's no longer serving me, and I want
Mm,
to change it.
absolutely. So, for parents who are on the journey or about to take the journey of changing their beliefs around money, while they are in this process, what are some practical tips for them to action to foster a healthy money mindset in their children?
Okay. So your children are watching you. So the first thing I would say is, even if your children aren't there, ask yourself, would I be okay if little so and so heard me say this?
Mm. So it's that intention, right?
Yes. And you have to actually consciously think about it initially. It's not going to come to you naturally because you're trying something new. When you try something new, you need to practice it consistently over a period of time before it becomes second nature, right?
Right.
So ask yourself, do I want my child to repeat this? Do I want my child to practice this? What would I think if my child started behaving or believing the same things that I'm believing now? And
Mm-hmm.
then secondly, you can be intentional and bring your child into the process. Parents can sit down with their children, give them, I don't know, show them what a bill looks like.
Mm-hmm.
Now, it's not their responsibility to pay the bill, but let them see that this is a bill, this is how we pay it, this is what it's for, this is how we pay it every month, this is how much money it requires. We want children to be more in touch with the tangible nature of what money is. So I would even
Right.
suggest pay for things with cash. Because when you
Mm.
swipe a card, your child has no idea. They just think, oh my God, it's free money,
You're
right?
right.
You're
Like this is
swiping
an
like it's
endless
unlimited.
possibility.
Yeah. And so when you actually spend money with cash and you give your children cash, they will actually understand that this runs out. And when it
Mm-hmm.
runs out, you have to figure out how to get more. There's a practical exercise that I've read so much about. It's the 3 jars. So you have 3 jars, one's for saving, one's for spending, and then one's for giving. So you
Okay.
give your child money. Let's say you give them three $20 bills. They can decide if they want to put one in each jar, if they want to put all of that into one jar. It's up to them to decide. So then that helps them know that, okay, you spend money, you save money, you give money. You're just teaching them some practical
Mm-hmm.
tips, tools, but also helping them see that money can be used for different things and instilling some money values in them because we understand that giving is important.
Right.
Spending is important. Yes, we want to enjoy the money that we have, but also saving
Saving is
slash
important.
investing. Yes, I've heard some parents also share that they borrow money from their children and then they give it back with interest. So they
Ah,
understand how investing works.
that's amazing.
Mm-hmm.
So, would you say that teaching financial literacy to the little ones is also a way of, because again, like you said, if they are swiping a card, they don't see practically how this is working, how this exchange is working, and they may think that it's, well, just swipe your card and we can get it. If you swipe that card, you can get it, right? But if they have that physical cash and they can see how the transaction works, would you say that's a good way to instill a healthy money mindset? Because so that realistically they know how much something is and how much they need to get that thing. But then also, coupled with that, when they don't have enough for a thing, teaching them to ask the question, how can I have enough of the thing, instead of just flat out saying, I can't have the thing because I don't have enough.
Yes. And it's also about asking yourself questions before making that purchase. So when they have
Mm-hmm.
the cash, they can ask themselves, and they know it's limited, right? Let's say you give them $10, you go into the grocery store, they can buy whatever they
Mm-hmm.
want for $10. Now they
Mm-hmm.
have to start questioning what's really important to me. Do I want to
Yeah,
buy the chocolate bar or do I want to buy, I don't know, a toy that will last me so
right.
much longer than eating a chocolate bar for 2 minutes, kind of thing. So when you have the cash and you're asking questions to get them to think about why they want to buy a certain item, you're instilling those money values. You're helping them realize what's important to them. Now, there's
Right.
no
What's
right or wrong.
priority?
Mhm. There's
What's
no
just
right or wrong here. It's just about
right,
asking those questions because you want
right.
to get them in the mode of not just spending money frivolously and realizing that yes, we know that you can make a lot more money, but obviously the $10 that they have in their hand right now is
Mhm.
limited. And so they need to be wise and intentional about how they spend it. And when it's spent, they can figure out how to make more.
Mhm. It makes me think of this couple I know. I think their daughter was about 7 or 8 years old at the time. They were walking through a store and she saw this, like, it was a toy. It was a bird in a cage that could sing and do all these things. And she really wanted the toy. And her parents said that if she wanted the toy, she would have to think of ways that she could earn that toy, think of ways that she could have enough money. So they made her write how much the toy was. She wrote that down, and then they were like, if you come up with half of this money, we will give you the other half, and then you can go and get the toy. So the dad went back to the store in that week, got the toy, and then they hid it away. So she didn't know that it was bought already. But she went into her room and she literally brainstormed ways that she could earn this toy. So the next time I came to her house, she was like, can I rub your feet for you? And I was like, she's like, you have to pay me $5 and then I'll rub your feet for you. And then I was like, okay. She's like, yeah, I'm gonna buy this toy, but I need money. So can I rub your feet for you? Like, so obviously I didn't have a choice in the matter. So I did. I let her rub my feet. So then she started getting money, and then she said to her mom, hey, can you take me to the store? I want to go get some lotion and I want to go get like whatever because I'm gonna build this business now. So they did. So she got a little basket and she had her lotion and she had a little foot scraper thingy. And, she bought whatever she thought was necessary, bought little nail polishes. And so she started rubbing people's feet whenever they came to the house. And then the next time I came, she was like, do you want to buy a lollipop? I bought lollipops and I'm going to sell them so that I can earn this toy. And so she did. She came up with the money. It took her like 3 months to do it. And so that's why the dad went to buy the toy, because they didn't want her to earn, save up all this money. I mean, the thing was sold out or whatever. So then they just said, okay, give your dad the money, he'll go get the toy for you. And that worked. And I think that instilled a mindset in her that
Oh, yeah.
it's possible. I can find ways. I can rub people's feet. I can sell lollipops. She started baking cupcakes with her mom. She was like, hey, do you want to come and bake? Like, she was I was so impressed, like, with this little mind at 7 or 8 years old. It was quite incredible. So she learned to bake. She learned to do people's feet. She learned to sell popsicles or lollipops, whatever it was she was selling. And she was learning also, like, what a profit is, what it costs to, so she got into this. It was really, really incredible to watch.
And honestly, this is why, school does us a disservice, because she is
Absolutely.
now an entrepreneurial thinker.
Mm-hmm.
So she knows that no matter what happens in life, she'll be able to figure out how much money to make and how to make that money. So she knows that, okay, I have this need. It requires this amount of money. I'll figure it out. Her parents are teaching her that she has the creative abilities
Mm-hmm.
to figure out different ways to earn an income.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So well done to those parents.
I know. I was very impressed with them. They actually are doing an incredible job. They've got 4 girls. They are doing an incredible job with their kiddos. So before we end our chat today, can you tell listeners how and where they can reach you? I'll link everything in the description box, but if you can just let them know where they can find you and why they want to find you.
Well, you want to find me because you're a business owner. At the beginning, Taryn talked about struggling to increase her prices. This is something that I hear consistently from my friends and from clients who are business owners, right? There's something going on where you're struggling with money in one way. As a business owner, it's maybe increasing your prices, charging adequately for the services you're providing. As a wife, maybe you're hands off the finances in the household and you feel like you want to be involved, but you're struggling with that decision.
Mm-hmm.
It could be as an employee, as a career professional. You want to change your job, you want to ask for a raise, but you're holding back because you're scared that maybe if you quit your job, you might not find an opportunity. You're worried you might not have enough money. If you do quit your job, even though you probably do have enough money, right? Or you're scared to ask for a raise. If you're a parent who realizes I may not be teaching my children the right things about money. And I want to change that. And it starts with you. because children are sponges. They are going to do what you do, no matter what you tell them to do. They're watching you. They're
Yeah,
listening.
this is what I teach my parents in coaching, is that children do what they see and they believe what they hear. They don't have a frame of reference to do any differently. So often I hear parents say, "You're 4 years old now, you know better." No, they don't. I hate to tell you this,
Yeah.
but they don't.
Even
They
a
don't know
20-year-old, a
better.
50-year-old doesn't know better,
Listen,
let alone a
listen.
4-year-old.
Exactly. And so that's something that I emphasize all the time, is that they do what they see and they believe what they hear. They don't have the frame of reference to believe differently. They don't. Not until they're
Yeah.
exposed to the rest of the world. And that's why you've got those first 7 years to instill such a solid foundation in them. And that's why I want to get in with this money mindset as well. Like all these things, like they are picking up on, and it becomes seeds that grow.
When I meet with my clients, this is why, we look at their money behavior now. We assess what's the belief behind that money behavior, the way they're managing their money, spending it, giving it, all of that. And then where did that belief come from? 9.5 times out of 10. It's something that happened when they were children.
Even if you look at grown-ups who go to therapy, 99.99% of the time it's because of the way their parents raised them or didn't raise them.
Yes, which is why your work is so important, right?
Yeah.
Whenever I tell someone that I have a client who she coaches parents so that their children don't have to go to therapy due to their
To
parenting.
heal.
Yes, to heal from their parenting. A lot of parents are taken aback by that. Like, oh yeah, I don't want my child to experience that. I don't want that at all.
Send them to me.
Yeah. So how you can reach me is my handle. I'm on all social media channels, Lydia Elim, LYDIAELIM. You can find me on my website, loveyourselffinancially.com. There's a Facebook group, there's LinkedIn, so I'm all over as well. So I do hope that you reach out to me. I am currently running my coaching program, the one that Taryn was in. Taryn was in the very first cohort of that coaching program. And so it's a great opportunity to be around like-minded women, specifically women who want to change the way that they feel about money, their money beliefs, and they want it to be long lasting.
Thank you so much for taking the time out, for waking up early this morning to have this chat with me. I have thoroughly enjoyed it, and I think that it was very informative and very insightful. And I know that so many parents are going to be rethinking the way they parent around money. So thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, Taryn. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you for tuning into the parenting. We hope you enjoyed today's episode. If you have any questions, feedback, or content suggestions, please email us at Taryn@theparenting.com. Please remember to subscribe